AP here from the tailgate. All Aggie football all the time. Brought to you by Frida Custom Homes, building Aggie dreams. Guys, email us at Ags Tailgate if you want to make some comments. agstailgate@gmail.com. You can also leave comments, obviously, on any one of our social media pages or the YouTube channel. What's up, Corey?
Hey, buddy. Just ready to rock and roll.
So, just want to let the fans know, the listeners, the viewers, whatever. We're gonna try to start two episodes a week. We're gonna go from a weekly podcast to a twice a week podcast.
Shows you how busy we are.
Yeah, I have a lot going on.
Yeah.
Probably try to post Monday mornings or Sunday nights, Thursday mornings, Wednesday nights. Episodes will probably be a little bit shorter, trying to get into the 30-minute range or so. We'll see how that works out. Because, dude, you never shut the hell up.
Yeah, that's what I hear. That's what I hear.
Hey, quite a bit of news, obviously, in the college sports world surrounding what everybody likes to call March Madness. And let's start with Aggie basketball here as far as March Madness is concerned. We know that they just played the game in the NIT, the first round of the game. They played there at Reed, and they got their first win. But, man, your boy Buzz came out after that and really got after the NCAA. What's going on, Corey?
Man, he went on there, and it's a good listen. He talked about how he was so disappointed and has lost pretty much faith in the NCAA and their selection committee. He believes that A&M's body of work was better. They didn't have a great body of work. He understands that. He understands they had an 8-game losing streak. But he saw the resumes of other teams that were in there, and he just did the math. He never yelled. He never said anything mean. He just talked like you and I are talking right now. Never raised his voice. Just said, hey, I'm very disappointed in the NCAA selection committee. And he went through and said, hey, I want to know where these people come from, if there's a bias of some kind. But, if you look at some of the resumes, two of the teams playing tonight, Rutgers and Notre Dame, you put A&M's resume up against theirs, they're right in there. And that's what he was talking about. He's talking about the super seniors that came back. They didn't get a chance to play in the tournament, and they played their ass off.
Look, this is about the kids, man. And in reality, It's about the kids because those kids played their butts off throughout the season. And you're right, they had that lull in the middle of the season, but what they ended up doing at the end and the wins that they had at the end, not to mention with some of the early SEC schedule where they performed pretty well. I thought they did more than enough to get in when they beat Auburn, and then they went and got another win after that.
Against Arkansas.
Against Arkansas, and still couldn't make it. But they've got wins, 2 wins against Arkansas. They got 2 wins against Florida, both there. Bama, they got a win over Auburn. 23-12 overall. I thought that was more than enough to get in to the tournament. But the NCAA selection committee decided otherwise, while they allowed a team like Notre Dame in, who A&M's got a head-to-head win over.
Exactly.
Right? Notre Dame was 22-10.
They got 2 wins against Arkansas. It was a top 20 team. And Joe Lunardi's a dumbass. I don't care what anybody says. That guy, he says the Aggies need to win, probably just beat Auburn, and they're in. Well, they didn't just beat Auburn. They beat Auburn, then they beat Arkansas.
Right.
Still didn't get in. The selection committee had their mind made up before the tournament, evidently, that the Aggies were not getting in unless they won the NCAA tournament. Now, I don't think it helped that Richmond won their conference. If Richmond wouldn't have won that game, I think the Aggies would have been in. But other than that,
but look,
I'm glad Richmond's in. That's my
Notre Dame lost in the first round of the ACC. We talked about their head-to-head loss to A&M. Right. Indiana has a loss to Northwestern. They were 20-3 overall, right? And they get in. Because they make a short run in the Big Ten. They didn't even make it to the finals, right? The team that I think for sure that doesn't deserve to be in there is Wyoming. They're 25-8. But
they're already out.
Yeah, that team.
They lost last night.
In the Mountain West, the 11 teams, they're fourth. They're fourth in their own conference.
They had 4 teams, 3 or 4 teams make it from the Mountain West. They had Boise State, Wyoming, San Diego State. They had
here's the thing. Out of the top 3 in the conference, they've got 2 wins out of all those games, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying they got all their wins against the worst competition in their conference, and I just can't believe that the committee felt that Wyoming was more deserving than an A&M squad with wins over Auburn and Arkansas and Florida, right?
No, I hear you. And
Wyoming's wins are over who? Washington. They've got to win over Washington. Is Washington any good this year?
No, they're
hell no.
But I mean, that's the thing. They had a West Coast bias this year. If you look at the NCAA tournament, there's a lot of teams from, I mean, not just the Pac-10, but the conference Gonzaga's in. I don't even know the name of it. The conference that Wyoming's in. I mean, there's a bunch of teams out there. There's San Francisco's in, teams you don't hear a lot of. I'm glad they're in. It makes it more exciting. They're all going to be out pretty quick.
Yeah, to me, it's inexplicable. I don't understand it. I hope they go in and have a heck of a run in the NIT, go win the thing. Right. And then, it'll give them even more of a reason to continue to put the onus on the NCAA to be better, because at the end of the day, they should be there. They deserve to be there. They worked hard enough to be there, and they got denied that opportunity by a group of old men that have some sort of problem with the Aggies in general, I guess. So
yep.
It's disappointing. However, opening weekend of March Madness is one of our favorite times in sports, isn't it, Corey?
Oh, I love it, man. Can't wait. I can't wait to go to this wedding.
Dude,
my wife
the games start tomorrow, baby. The real deal starts tomorrow.
I know.
And to me, this is my favorite time because, last year they screwed it all up and they moved that opening weekend to start on a Friday, man. What the heck's that all about? This is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday ordeal. And it means that I'm going to spend a lot of time this weekend sitting in a bar in front of a bunch of TVs trying to watch multiple games at the same time.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
And probably losing a lot of money while doing it.
Hey, go for it. That's why you make it. You got to make it to lose it.
Got to make it to lose it. All right, so we're excited about that. I'll also be watching my Aggies in the NIT at the time, but I'm really looking forward to the first weekend of March Madness too. Wish the Aggies would be there with me.
How are you? You and me both.
All right, so let's move on, and we're gonna talk a little football, a little NFL Aggie football. Our boy Christian Kirk gets paid.
Good for him.
Good for Christian Jaguars Kirk. Have decided to make him apparently maybe their number 1 receiver, I guess.
Well, they're paying him like he's one of the top 5 receivers in the league. I mean, I don't know where they get these numbers from, but he did good in college.
Look, I congratulate the man, and I'm glad he did. I always root for those Aggies, man, and I hope he has a huge season with Jacksonville next year.
Right.
I just don't necessarily expect it. But hopefully he does come back and help them get turned around at least a little bit. I think number 1 pick 2 years in a row at this point. Maybe they can aspire to next year have maybe the number 3 or 4 pick in the draft instead of the number 1 pick.
Who's their coach?
Well, a guy that has won a Super Bowl, Doug Peterson.
Oh, that's right. I forgot they got Doug Peterson, man. I'm still thinking Urban Meyer. He did a great job there.
And after the signings that they went through here this past 24 hours or so, I don't think Doug Peterson has any idea what he's doing as a football coach. And that organization,
he's bringing in Nick Foles. He's gonna bring in Nick Foles. He'll win it all.
That organization is on its way. Oh wait, they're already down. Never mind.
Yeah.
So good luck to Christian Kirk. And
absolutely.
Make that money so you can spend that money. Is what I can say.
There you go.
All right. So okay. So let's move on. We're gonna have a little spring practice news here. So, last time we were on the air, they had just had their Wednesday practice, which was helmets, no pads. Well, after obviously Thursday, they had their first padded practice. Got the shoulder pads on, started a little bit of contact. What the coaching world we like to call shells. Shells. We've got the pads, the helmet, but you don't need all the pants and stuff. The knee pads and all that. So we got out in shells and started doing a little bit of hitting, getting a little bit more physical, not crazy. Before they took spring break this week, so they're not going to be on the practice field this week. But a few things that also happened. They also released the official spring roster. And the first thing that I noticed is that there's some names missing. So Dallas Walker, not on the roster. He was in that rotation, a little bit of defensive line work last year. But he wasn't the first group in, but he was sort of that second group in. So, and no longer on the roster. We haven't heard.
What does that mean? Wait, one second. What does that mean if you're not on the roster? That means you're on the team, or what?
Well, we haven't gotten word on what exactly that means. Is he planning on transferring, or
right?
Is there some discipline going on? Who knows? So we haven't gotten final word on that. But he's one guy. Jordan Jefferson, another defensive lineman. These are a couple of guys that I had highlighted previously about potential transfer portal guys, because the depth and the rotation and the defensive line was probably going to see them sort of get pushed out, right? So I don't know if those are huge losses. Another guy, Derek Hunter, who 2 years ago was a defensive lineman. He shifted over to the offensive line last year, and he's got the size and the athleticism and stuff, but he definitely wasn't getting into the rotation. He may be another guy with the potential for a transfer and moving out and trying to get somewhere else where he can actually get on the field. Probably not a huge loss for this team. I will say this: he was a pretty good recruit a couple of years ago, and he's obviously pretty athletic. He played on the defensive line as well. So maybe it's a bigger loss than I'm making it out to be, just athleticism wise. But at the moment, he wasn't going to factor into the rotation here. Okay. Another name, and this is a name that I thought had an opportunity to get on the field. Brian Williams. So Brian Williams, safety.
He was a big recruit.
Big time recruit. Now he was injured all last year, so maybe it's
right.
Maybe it's a medical thing. But he was in the same class as Damani Richardson, and I'll tell you, he was just as a big time recruit as Damani Richardson. Maybe even
right. Yeah, more.
I mean, he was almost a 5-star. He was sort of a borderline 4 or 5-star guy. And, he just hasn't quite gotten on the field as much as some of the other guys. But a couple of years ago, he was a big part of the sub package in the secondary, and came in and made some plays. He was involved in in rushing the passer a lot. He was more of the in-the-box guy. They line him up at the line of scrimmage and let him do some things there. Not on the roster. And that's sort of a big deal, because one of the things that I'm noticing right now with regards to this defensive roster and depth chart is there's not a lot of depth at safety. And so let's start there. Let's start sort of some of the things from the defense. And all right, if you look at it and you take Richardson and Gilbert, who's a sophomore and didn't play a lot last
year. Yeah.
Richardson and Gilbert right now are probably the only non-freshman safeties on the roster.
Where are you putting Johnson at? Where are you putting Antonio?
Assuming Antonio's still playing the nickel.
Okay.
Right? And so that's where I was going to go. Because there are some freshmen that are coming in that, talented and should get some time there. But, Smoke Boovie still is not even on campus, right?
Right.
He's got a ton of talent, and definitely will get into the mix. but he's probably not going to be ready at not having been on campus and not having been a part of the practices so far. He's probably not going to be ready early in the season. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe not even getting that much reps throughout the season, I would imagine. So you've got some freshmen in the mix, but as far as guys that have already been on campus and had reps with this defense, Damani Richardson, Jordan Gilbert. That's it. Is there any concern here about this group, especially the safety specifically? I mean, Bryce Anderson's on campus and he's a big time recruit, but he's still going to be a freshman. You know, Jacoby Matthews ain't on campus. He's another big time recruit that plays safety DB. But all those guys are freshmen. What do you think, Corey?
I'm not concerned at all. The defensive backfield's the least of my worries for A&M. The defense, the linebackers are the biggest concern, I think, and how these freshmen come out. What you're saying about these players not being on the roster, I think this is going to be something that you're going to see every year because we're getting more talent. We're getting more 4-star players. You're going to see guys that were high recruits that didn't pan out. One thing, especially with NIL, you're going to see players, grass can be greener somewhere else. Not a concern at all. We have enough talent, I think, to make up for what their loss is. I think we have cornerbacks that can shift to safety if need be. We have speed. Speed's a big thing for me. Speed, and as long as we can speed and read. If they can read the play, because if they can't, if they get caught with their pants down, the ball goes over their head anymore, I'm going to lose my mind.
Well, that's where experience comes into play, right? Because especially when you're talking about the safety's the guy that's going to be the racer on the back end. He's got to have some experience seeing the field, seeing plays develop. Those are important aspects for a safety coming in, the free safety specifically. You know, Richardson has been more of an in-the-box guy. Gilbert really has been more of an in-the-box guy last year. I do like what you said, though, because I do think we have a ton of depth and talent at the cornerback spot. Mm-hmm. You know, with Tyreek Chappelle, with Brian Jor, freshman Denver Harris, I mean, Jalen Jones, Miles Jones, Josh Moten, right? Bobby Taylor, another freshman, you know. So Groves Killerbrew. All those guys are in the mix there. Corner. And that's outside corner, you know, tons of talent. That's where I think we need to reconsider a couple. I need to see which one of these guys, maybe Jalen Jones,
that's who,
maybe Antonio Johnson, can add to the rotation there at free safety, can go play free safety, can be the eraser, can be the guy that makes plays over the top, that takes away the entirety of that over the top, defense, right?
Right.
That also coordinates the secondary as well, who's a communicator, who does all those things. Make sure people are aware of what's going on. What are the potential combinations that the offense likes to run? You know, somebody that's intelligent enough to do that as well. So I think instead of relying on a bunch of freshmen, I think there needs to be a move for one of these guys to move from that corner spot or that nickel back to that free safety spot and see how they do it.
Well, they need to be the quarterback of the defense, right? They need to be able to see everything what's going on and tell these freshmen where to get in position at, because you can't have a freshman telling Jalen Jones and Antonio Johnson where to go, because they're going to be like, who the hell are you?
Look, yeah, absolutely. If you're going to put a freshman out there, you just got to let him play.
Yeah.
He's got to worry about number one, himself and only himself, right?
Exactly.
These guys that have been around for years, they've been able to experience this. They should know the playbook inside and out. They should be able to they need to be the ones that get up there and can see everything. What's your assignment? What are you supposed to be seeing? Be able to communicate all those things and make sure that people are lined up correct. But to me, that has to be somebody other than the guys we currently have to say.
Correct.
And I guess, look, Damani Richardson could definitely take that spot. I keep seeing Damani as more of an in-the-box guy. I really think he's better there. But maybe he moves back into that spot. Okay, so that sort of a lot there about the secondary. The other thing that I saw, very thin at linebacker. We talked about this last week.
We
I
knew
do
that
think,
coming in.
yeah, Cooper and White, those are your two stars. And I
Right.
think we're thin because the two guys behind them just really haven't closed the gap. Lee and Russell still look tentative, still don't look physical enough. They I just don't. I think there's a big step down from the two guys we got starting to that second group,
I agree.
which puts a lot of pressure on an incoming freshman who's not on campus yet in Montreal Harris, right?
Right.
Montreal Harris is going to have to come in and probably get into the rotation, at least get in the mix with those two other guys. Ish Harris, I think, eventually gets into that mix, but he needs to put a little bit of mass into his body first, right? So he's probably going to have to be on campus at least a year before he gets into the rotation. I'm concerned that especially if there's an injury, we're going to have a problem.
Well, there's going to be injuries. You know that. That's going to happen. It's part of football. I'm not concerned as you are. I knew the linebacker was an issue coming in. Like I said, I like Cooper. I like White for what they do. And I think we have enough athletes on that side of the ball. And my biggest question is the coaching. What's the coach going to do with some of these guys he has? Is he going to run schemes? Is he going to let them play? We talked about this over and over. I'm not sure what he's going to do. I'm not concerned about the linebackers. As long as our defensive line is doing what I think they're going to do and get pressure, that's going to change the whole game. Now, our defensive line is going to make up for a lot of mistakes, I think, that the secondary linebackers might make.
Yeah, and so I also think, once again, go back to the coaches. Are there guys there that can sort of cross train, right? Come in and be a linebacker in certain passing situations. Is Darnell Harris a guy that maybe comes and plays some reps at linebacker, which has been rumored from his posts on social media? So that's another piece of the puzzle there. What happens with these guys, and are there some movement there, especially now where I think we're going to see a lot more of that three-man line? I will say this: I don't know that our defensive line is going to be the eraser that they were last year. I just think they're going to take a step back, and overall, I think our defense is going to take a step back because of it. But those are going to be some things that are going to be interesting to see in not only in the spring game, but in the fall as we start to watch fall practice when everybody's back in the mix, and to see where some of these pieces fall into play.
Yep, I hear what you're saying.
So a couple of things, and we'll go sort of quick on this on offense so we can get to the questions from the tailgate on this. But LJ Johnson getting a lot of reps with the number ones at the tailback. Obviously, A-Chain not participating in practice. Crownover is also getting a lot of reps, probably even more than Daniels. Crownover getting reps with the ones. So interesting to see. And he's a guy that's now been on campus for a couple of years, so he's probably the elder statesman of that group, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like he's going to get himself into the mix.
Honestly, I don't have a lot to say on that. I think Chain's the guy. I think Smith's going to come in and do his thing. These guys will get a few carries here and there, but for the most part, it's going to be Chain and Smith.
All right, two more things I noticed from the offensive side of practice the other day. One, Cup, definitely running with the ones, right?
Hearing good things.
And he's got top end speed to be out there and get wide and yada yada yada. But when I see him in drills and I compare him side by side to a guy like Jake Johnson, he's not even close. He doesn't have that explosiveness, like the get off the line quick, the suddenness on his cuts on his routes. And Jake's got a lot of work to do because he's still learning the system, the routes, the exact. But when you see him go, he's a different level of athlete than a guy like Cup. He's got a suddenness that Cup will never have. I'm interested in seeing whether Cup ends up continuing to take the reps with the ones as the season gets in, as we start playing in the season, because I think we're going to have better athletes than him at the tight end spot. When Donovan Green gets on the field in the fall, he's going to be a better athlete than Cup. And like I said, he's big and he can catch the ball and he can get down the field. Once he gets moving, boy, he's got plenty of speed. But man, I'm talking about that suddenness. And to me, he's not even in the same vicinity as a guy like Jake Johnson, which is a good thing for us because Jake Johnson's also on our field.
Right. I mean, it's a good problem we have. We have a lot of talent. I mean, you're talking about a guy like Cup that everybody's talking about great things. You're talking about a guy that might be better. That gives me. I'm encouraged about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The next thing and the last thing I got here, my observations from the practice. Evan Stewart, I mean, he stands. Let me just say this. One, he's getting reps with the ones at times. He just stands out. His athleticism, explosiveness stand out. Amongst all those great athletes on the field, that guy is the cream of the crop. And nobody has those same attributes. Aeneas is definitely wide receiver 1, don't get me wrong. And Aeneas has that, suddenness and break to him. But I'm telling you, not one player on that field has the same attributes, physical attributes.
Alejo, you sound like a broken record. You say the same thing every year about some incoming freshman that looks great, that's a receiver, and they don't ever see the field because the Jimbo factor comes in. And so until I actually see it, I mean, we might see it in the spring game and be like, oh, man, did you see that guy? Did you see Price last year? Remember Price? We were like, man, Price looked pretty good.
And listen, I've been the guy that said that over
Muhammad.
and over again.
We said about Muhammad. We said about Demas.
No,
we said about over and
here's
over.
The thing. And I've said that you're absolutely correct. And I've said that about
year.
Jimbo every year.
Every year.
He just doesn't get those guys on the field.
Yeah.
All my comment is right now is this guy is the best athlete on that field. I'm not saying he's gonna be on the field all the time. I'm not saying he's gonna get a bunch of catches. I'm just telling you, he stands above the rest.
Who's throwing the ball?
Well, sometimes it's King, sometimes it's Johnson, sometimes it's Connor Wigman.
So probably Connor. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's getting reps. He's getting reps as most of them. So, like I said, just pointing out, this guy's special.
Good.
This guy's special. All right. Questions from the tailgate brought to you by Rawson Distributed, assisting Aggies with all their drilling needs. Aggie owned and operated. All right. Our first question, they want us to rank the SEC offenses for 2022. Where does A&M rank among SEC offenses? I'll tell you that last year they were 8th. 8th in the SEC, which was, by the way, better than LSU, better than Mississippi State, better than LSU, who everybody keeps talking about how good Max Johnson was. So, all in all, where do you think this team stacks up offensively amongst the SEC greats? I think we all agree that Bama's probably going to be better. They got a
better, about the same. Yeah, they're going to be great.
Right? They got a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. I mean, better than us.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, what do you think? I mean, who are some teams? Who are some teams that you think are probably better? Some teams that are maybe worse?
There's a lot of teams I think are going to be better on paper to start the season because of what they have returning quarterbacks. I mean, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia. I mean, I'm just Tennessee. I'm just going off the top of my head. I mean, I haven't written anything down. I think we're 8th is maybe there. That's where, I think we have the potential to be a lot better because the quarterback position will be better. Our skill position players with Aeneas coming back, with Chain, our offensive line getting better. I mean, I could see us making some strides if Stewart's as good as you say he is and he actually gets in the field. I mean, I could see us in the top 5, but right now I put Alabama, Tennessee. Georgia's not a high octane offense, but they're more consistent just because of what they do.
And they were still number 3 in the SEC in offense last
Yeah, I mean, Arkansas, they have their quarterback come back. Mississippi State has Rodgers. They're going to throw the ball all over the place. They're going to dink and dunk you all over the field. You don't know what Florida's going to have. Ole Miss, Kiffin's going to do stuff down there that's unconventional. So, I mean, it's a toss-up. I mean, we're going to be better than Vandy. We're going to be better than South. I mean, South Carolina's got a good quarterback coming in, but I think we'll be better than them in offense.
Look, and I think I said it last week, right? Last year we averaged in the 29, less than 30 points a game. I think this year we're up above 30. We're in the third, maybe 33, 34. I think we're more explosive as an offense. I think Haynes King is going to make a big difference. I think our offensive line is going to be a big difference. And ultimately, the offensive line is going to make the biggest difference, if you ask me.
Right, huge, yeah.
And I do think we get into those 30 numbers and maybe even mid-30s. Maybe even mid-30s.
So, I mean, what are we ranked in?
We're not going to be
number 8.
I think we're in the 5 to 7 range.
Okay,
because
I say
Bama, Tennessee. I mean, I think those
Georgia,
two teams are probably,
Arkansas. I'm just talking about on paper right now. Georgia, Arkansas, Mississippi State. Who else?
Arkansas with KJ Jefferson. I think he's going to have a big year. You know, like you said, Georgia's in the mix. Mississippi State with a returning quarterback, third year guy now under the Pirate. You know, I think they're probably going to be up in that mix, even though last year they weren't quite up there. So I still think they're in the 5 to 7 range, but I think they're in the 33 to 35 point range.
So let's say 5 to 7 range. 5 to 7 range. No, and you think our defense is going to be worse this year? What are they going to be in the 5 to 7 range also?
Yeah, I mean they're going to go from second to probably.
Okay, and what's our preseason rank?
Our preseason rank is like number 5 or something.
Does that make any freaking sense?
A topic for another day. That's a good question. How about maybe
that makes no sense. All
right. Question number 2. Outside of Bama, what games worry you the most in 2022?
All of them, just about, except for as long as we don't have Prairie View. And we got new quarterbacks basically starting. Haynes King, he started a game and a half last year, a game and a quarter. Every game we're playing it's basically a new team. I mean, we're seeing a rebuilt offensive line again. We're starting over on the defensive line. I mean, a lot of talent. There's plenty of talent everywhere, but I think
that's a good point. I mean,
3 or 4 games are going to be huge.
And let me say this about our defense. I don't think they're going to be in the 5 to 7 range. I think they're more in the 3 to 5 range, but that's down from last year.
Okay.
Having said that, going back to this question, look, I think we can win and beat any team on the schedule as far as talent is concerned. That includes Alabama. But the games that worry me, is that there's a stretch.
I mean, South Carolina's better.
Yes, with Arkansas, Miami, Arkansas, and you add and you get Alabama in that mix. There's a little stretch of 4 games right in there that are pretty tough, and any one of those games you can lose, including South Carolina, who, by the way, well-coached team and with a new quarterback that's going to all of a sudden help that offense, and a defense that was pretty good last year, in spite of not being the most talented.
There's a lot of teams out there that are they're getting better. Everybody's getting better. A&M's getting better, but everybody else is getting better. I mean, the only team I don't see I'm not as worried about is Auburn, to be honest with you. Auburn, LSU, I'm not as worried about LSU and Auburn. I still think they'll be pretty good, but I'm not concerned like I am. I think Mississippi State's going to be on the up kick because, that coach over there, he does better every year. He's got a history.
He does. He's got a history of outperforming his
I think Ole Miss will take a step back, losing Carroll. They'll take a step back, but Arkansas will be up there. I'm curious to see the preseason rank and see what they put us at. I think they'll put us at like number 2 or something in the West.
I think we'll be number 2 in the West. I do, and I'll say this: everybody's also got very high expectations for Georgia. Georgia's going to take a step back. Georgia's going to take a step back in the East because they just lost way too much talent.
Yeah, they got like 10 first-round draft picks or something like that. Something stupid. It's ridiculous.
That entire defense is getting drafted, basically.
Yeah. Their whole defensive line and linebackers. Everything I'm reading is how they did in the combine. It's stupid.
So I do think we're obviously talented enough to be at the top of the SEC. I just think that we're not good enough and experienced enough to just walk into any game knowing we're going to win it, right? we've got to come in and play, and we got to come in and play against most of the teams that we face, especially with the level of play in the SEC right now.
Yeah, it's a shame we don't play West Virginia. I'll tell you that much. It's a shame. That'd be a W.
Yeah,
my dad would love that.
A tour through the Big 12 would make things a lot easier.
Money. Oh yeah, the Big 12. I can't wait for Oklahoma and Texas to get here and just beat their ass.
That'll be nice to renew the rivalry for sure.
It will. I don't even know if it'll be a rivalry anymore.
Going to 2025.
Yeah,
we got a ways to go.
All right.
Hi, Corey. Been fun, been real, my friend. Giga Maggie. AP signing out from the tailgate with Corey.